Yo, we're back in After Effects, and in today's video I'll be breaking down this composition right here. I actually did this on a music video with Spooky, so you can check it out. I'll link it in the description. It turned out really dope. You can see it on the effect. It's a lot going on with like the 3D Glocks behind him, like those are all 3D by the way, and also the text with like those bloody effect around. So I'm gonna show you how to create all of that. So I recommend watching the whole video because it will be a lot of value and you will surely learn a lot of new things. So firstly, to start off, you can see I have this clip right here from the video, so we're gonna make that in here. So firstly, to start off, we're gonna firstly create like those 3D Glocks and move into the text stuff after. So you can see this clip right here, so we're gonna add the 3D Glocks in there. So for that, we're actually gonna slow-mo it first, but as you can see on my comp, I have some marker in here. Those marker represents where like the 808s are. So I hit like L double time. You can see one 808 is here and one is here, so that's a really good point to like transition and add some shake into it. So firstly, keeping that in mind, we're gonna slow-mo it around here. So for the slow-mo, you can always use the time ramping stuff, but I like to use Twixtor. So add Twixtor Pro in your clip. If you don't already know, this is a plugin, and hit the stopwatch in the speed. Bring up the keyframes, go a bit further, like around like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 frames forward, I guess. Yeah, and then you can just make the value to 30 and go to the middle again and make the value to 200. It will make sense why I did this if I play through. You can see it like speeds up and then goes to slow-mo, which looks really impactful, I feel like. Then you can see that easily we have the slow-mo going on with Twixtor, and now we're gonna rotoscope him out so we can add some Glocks behind him. So for that, just like pre-comp your clip firstly. Make sure you do pre-comp before like you add your roto effects, because like Twixtor messes up if you like add effect with Twixtor and stuff. So make sure to like pre-comp first. Actually, I'm gonna rename this and call it BZ, symbolized as like background, and we can duplicate this and you can name it roto or roto right here like that, and you can just mute this clip right here. Then set your resolution to full, go over to your roto brush tool, double click, and just go over and start rotoscoping out your subject right here. So if you don't know how to rotoscope, you can look it up on YouTube, but basically all you gotta do is like brush over to like roto, and if you mess up anyway, like hit alt in your keyboard and you can just like erase it, so that easily you can rotoscope and you can just take your mark is done good enough or not. So I'm gonna see you after like I select out my subject. So now you can see if I play through, my subject is pretty much like selected out, but before we add any effects into this, all you gotta do is like freeze this rotoscope real quick, because a lot of guys don't freeze their rotoscope and it can really cause some problems in the future when we add like all the effects and stuff. So make sure to quickly like freeze your rotoscope, then go back to your composition again. Then if I hide my background layer now, you can see our subject is rotoscoped out and separated from the background. You can also like bring up the feather a little bit and play with the shifters to get it to your liking. I guess this is a pretty good marks right here. So to add the 3D model, we're gonna use element. If you don't know what is element is, it's also a plugin, so we'll be using that. So to do that, right click on a blank space, go over to new and make a new solid right here, and you can set the color to any color you like. I'm just gonna go with like a black, and you can rename the layer to element, and if you have the plugin, you can just add the element right here. And then we're gonna open up the scene setup now, or let me bring this over right here, scale it up, and then to import our 3D model in the scene, we're gonna go over to import, and for the model I'm gonna use the model available on my Discord server. If I show you real quick, you can see if I go into my Discord server, if I go into VFX assets, you can go to 3D models, and I'm gonna use this one, so used into this one right here, Glock 19 RAR, and you can just open it up like that. Hit OK. Before getting into the tutorial, I just want to let you guys know that the 3D title card bundle and the packs just got updated right now. The update includes 8 more 3D title presets and templates for you. As you can see, all these are the new ones. bonus, and it absolutely looks crazy. So if you want to download the pack, I'll link it in the description. It's absolutely crazy. I use it on my every single video of mine, and you can just make like instant title in like few clicks. But anyways, let's just get into the tutorial. Then if you don't see your model right here, all you gotta do is go over to your edit and hit normalize size, and it will like scale it up automatically. Now you can see it doesn't have a good material in it. To fix that, you can use the physical material and just open this up and add those in it. So you can see this also looks pretty hard. If I put this over here, you can see this looks really good as well. But what I like to use is Pro Shaders. This is also like a plugin, you can say, or like a texture pack inside Element 3D. If you have this, I'm gonna use Pro Shaders too, and go to metals. Where is it? Metals, and you can use any of these that you like. I'ma like switch through and see what works the best for me. This looks pretty cool right here. You can go select this over and play around with the settings and stuff to get it to your liking. So something like this maybe. Then you can go over to scene material. You can see metal chrome dart and drag it on other as well in the top like that. But in the top, I guess I'm gonna find another material for it. So something like this would look cool. Yeah, I guess that's pretty hard right there. You can do it like that. I'm gonna play with all of these settings to get it to our liking. Maybe I'm gonna make it a little gray. It is all about what fits your scene and what you like the most. Don't like copy my values exactly. And I guess this right here looks cool for me, so I'm gonna hit OK and exit out of this right here. And now in our scene, you can see we have the Glock still, but in our scene you can see the Glock right here. We're gonna animate it and make it like duplicate and stuff in a bit. But before that, I like to camera track my video clip. So firstly, I'm gonna disable my element layer and my roto layer and select my background only, and go to tracker and just hit track camera right here. You can go to expand and just detail analysis to get a little better track. Then after your track is done, if you toggle on your shape part visibility, which is right here, if you can see this little icon, then if I play it through selecting my camera, you can see all of these track points into my scene, and I'm gonna select some that I think are stable. So these track points right here, and right click on it, go to create and just hit solid and camera, create solid and camera. Now we have played through. You can see we have a track, but it is not that stable, I would say, because when it like playing through, you can see it is like wiggling as well in some part. So to fix that little thing, there's a lot of method. This usually happens if your clip is like lower resolution. Because I'm doing a tutorial, I'm doing it on a 1080p timeline, and I prefer 4K for any kind of music video, but this is just a tutorial and I don't want like to lag my computer while recording, so I'm in a bit of like low resolution. So to fix that in it, you can like delete your camera and delete your solid and go into your BG pre-comp that we made right here and close your texture for now. Then in here, we're gonna firstly add unsharp marks, add it and bring up the amount and bring up the radius, so it adds these type of sharpen onto your clip. You can bring it up a little bit. Then after that, you can add like a lumetric color in it as well, lumetric color, and go to basic corrections and lower down the contrast a little bit, so we have a little like visibility and it's not like too dark. You can even bring up the exposure if you like, so around like 1, nothing too crazy. But don't worry, your grade will not be like messed up, because we'll remove unsharp marks and lumetric color after we do this effect. But for now, we're gonna back out to our main comp. Then again in 3D camera tracker, just hit analyze to analyze it again and get you the new results. Then after your tracker is done, you can bring up the track points a little bit, and you can see now we have a little more track points, especially on like the background that we exactly want. So I'm gonna select some of these on the background, because our background track points are really stable, because our subjects always like moves and stuff, and the track points can mess up there. But our background doesn't move, only moves with the camera, if that makes sense. So try to select some track points from the background. So I'm exactly gonna do that right here, selecting some of these and right click in it go to create solid and camera, and you can just bring up the solid size and rotate it if you don't see it. And now if I take a look, you can see the solid is really stable and moving accordingly to the camera. So that's exactly what we want. You can hide the solid now, we don't need it. Then you can just go over to the background pre-comp and remove the unsub marks and the lumetri color, we don't need it anymore. Go into your main comp, and in here if I enable my element layer, you can see our Glock is like floating around, and you can see it is really not like stable. There could be a lot of reason for that, but the one that I really prefer to fix it is the G position. So what I mean by that is go to your group 1, go over to group look. Now in group look, actually in particle replicator and in particle and in position Z, you can just copy the values on the track solid. So I will hit P on my keyboard to bring up the position of the track solid and copy this last value right here. If you could see it like properly, you can see this is the last value right here. As you can see, I'm gonna copy all of these, Ctrl C, and go into my element, and in position Z, just paste it right there, and your Glock will be disappeared. But if I like zoom in, you can see it right here. You can just scale it up because it is on the background. That easily right there, we fixed the wiggling issue on it. You can scale it up more if you like that. Now we'll start the animations and the replication and stuff. So firstly, to make that, delete your track solid, we don't need it anymore, and put your element layer between your roto and your background layer, so just below it. So your roto is on front and your element is on the middle, and the background is on the bottom, and of course the 3D camera at top. Then after that, to replicate, we're gonna go to particle replicator, which we already opened up, and go to replicator shape and set it to sphere and set the particle counts to around 5 or 6. So let's just go with 5 for now. And if I hide my like roto layer, you can see it is like replicated around themselves, but we're gonna fix that right here by going to rotation. And you can just bring up the shape scale actually to like spread it out, so something like this. If one of your Glock like goes into background and it like dissolves like this, you can just push your G values a little bit so it like renders up, because it is like too far to render to the camera. So I guess this looks pretty cool right here. Maybe I'll make the particle count to 4 and lower down the shape scale a little bit more, so it's like around our subject, so something like this. Don't worry about the Glock position, we're gonna fix that real quick as well. So for that, scroll over in your particle look, go to particle rotation, and you can just play around with the particle rotation. So in the video I had it like 200 on the value on Y rotation, and you can just play around with the other value to get it to your liking. So I had it something like this, maybe something like that. Then you can bring up your shape scale to like spread it out more, or you can even like lower down the size if it's like too like overlapping and stuff, if that makes sense. You can always play with the positions, so around like that. I think I'm gonna play with the rotation a little bit more to get it to my liking, so something like this and something like this would work for me. Then after this, you can see we have the basic shapes going on, but we want the animation right. For that, we're gonna animate the rotation and stuff again, as I told. So for that as well, we're gonna scroll down and go over to the X rotation on particle look and hit the stopwatch in it and put it after like your base hit, so you can see this is like the hit right here. Also, if you want to download this footage right here, this raw footage, and wanna like test out the VFX and stuff, I'll link a drive link down below so you can download and like play around with it, and you can like experiment around with the footage and stuff. But anyways, then go over to like 5 frame forward your before like your 808 or something like that happens, and just like bring up the value to around like 200 maybe, so 200 like there. We can extend the second keyframe a bit more like that. Then select both of these keyframes right here. We can push it a little further like this actually. Then go over to your graph and make sure you're in value graph right here, value graph, and simply make a graph like this right here, so it like pops in like that, as you can see, so like that. Yeah, I guess that looks pretty dope right there. You can even make a graph something like this to make it a little smoother. This also looks cool, not gonna lie, but it's like personal preferences. Maybe like this, I don't even know, bro. Do whatever you like and whatever like feels like good and matches your style. But anyways, after that, go over to your particle size. We're gonna animate the size as well. So in particle look, in particle size, I'm gonna hit the stopwatch in it and go out of the graph actually and bring up the keyframes and put it at last at the rotation keyframes and go and just bring down the size to 0 at the first. Like that, you can even extend it so it like happens further on, and you can just like ease both of these keyframes, go into graph and make a graph something like this. You already know the drills with like those graph and stuff. You can see then we have this simple pop in animation right there. But in the video, if I show you, you can see it like fully like spins in and comes in like that. For that, we're gonna rotate another value so it looks cool. Then for that, scroll up until you are in particle replicator again and go over to your rotation on it and hit the stopwatch in the Z rotation, and you can see we can like spin it around like this. So we're gonna use this. Put the keyframe around the end and just make it in one cycle. You can go even crazy if you like, but I'm gonna go with one cycle. Easy is these. Go into graph and make a simple graph like this in it. So now we have played through. You can see we have the rotation also going on to look super cool. And if I enable my rotor layer, you can see it is like behind our subject, and pretty much like what I did on the video, it pretty much looks like that. You can even like shorter down the keyframes a little bit if you like. Then after this, you can enable your motion blur by just going over here and just taking this, and you can see we already have the clean motion blur going on in it. But I think I'm gonna go to your particle size and go into graph and make it a little like this, really like popping up instantly. We can do the same thing with the X rotation on the multi object, not in multi object actually, in your like particle look, and you can just make a graph like this in it. So you can see that comes in like that. You can make it on one cycle, whole one cycle if you like. So you can see it really spins more. If you confused what I did, is go into my first frame and go to X rotation particle and just make it to 1 with the amount of 1 on the first value and X 200 in it, and you can just like play around with the graph in it to get it to your liking. You can make it a little like that too. Now if I play through, you can see we have this simple Glock rotation effect right here. Looks really cool, but as you might already noticed, it doesn't like fits out with our scene and all the color grades and stuff. You can see our shadow is like really faded and these shadows are not like that, and even the reflection. So to fix that, just close your group, go to custom layers, now in element, and go to custom texture maps, and in layer 1 set it as your footage layer, which is background BG right here. And I'm gonna close the custom layer and go into scene setup now, and in scene setup go to environment, and in basic set it as your footage layer, and you can just hit OK and just hit OK again to back out. Now we can see it matches our scene a little better, but it is still not perfect. And one more thing I like to do is go into render settings, go over to my ambient occlusion and turn that on firstly, enable AO, and you can just bring up the intensity of it. What it will do is add some shadow where it's needed, but I'm gonna close this one and go into lightning and go to add lighting right here, and you can just add whatever light you like. I like to go with like 360 or some of these on here. Looks really cool. You can even go to additional light settings, go to rotation and rotate it around to get it to your liking. So maybe something like that. You can see lights also doesn't like match our like orange tone that we're going for, but for that we are always adding like the what you can see like the lumetri color in it to color it up. But I think our footage is too dark, so I'm gonna use like a material from element. So I'm gonna open up scene setup and go to environment again, and in custom layer I'm gonna now use the custom layer and set it as custom layer 2 and hit OK and go to presets and in environment, and I'm gonna use the basic one right here, basic 2K. I guess this looks pretty decent right here if you like make up with the lights and stuff. But hit OK now, and you can see it looks a lot brighter that we want. So something like this, and you can just like play around with the lighting to get it to your liking. So something like that. Even you can set it to like 360 maybe, something like that. Then to match the color, as I promised, we're gonna add a lumetri color. So add lumetri color right here, lumetri color, yeah, like right here, lumetri color. Go to basic correction, and you can just like play around with it to get it to your footage. So my shadows are pretty faded, so I'm gonna bring up the blacks a little bit so it like matches up pretty much. And we're gonna go to temperature and just bring up the tint, and just bring up the temperature as well. So we have a little bit of like the orange tone going on. As you can see, if I bring up the temperature more to around like 100, you can see we have like the orange tone going on. Yeah, something like this looks cool. Let's just see our reference real quick so we can get an idea. So in our reference, it is pretty much similar. So if I go in here, you can see it is like really similar, the light and stuff. Now after all, we're gonna add a glow to glow it up a little bit. So for that, I like to use like a optical glow. So optical glow in here. If you don't already know, this is also a plugin. I wonder what you are saying in your head, like why this guy uses so much plugin? Because plugin really like allows you to push beyond the limits of After Effects. Without Element 3D, this wouldn't be possible, like all those like locks, animations and stuff, replications. Plugin is really the clutch. We're gonna go to highlights only now and just bring it up so it only like affects on the highlights and not in the shadows. And you can just bring up the radius and lower down the highlights only a little bit more, I guess, like that. And just bring up the intensity and go to alpha channel and set it to extended on mode. And now here played through, you can see we have this dope like glow going on. I guess I'm gonna go to lighting and move it up a little bit to get a different look in here, because I think this side is really too bright. Maybe something like this, or you can even like play with other preset if you like. And even if you like, you can go to outer tint of your optical glow and set it as the orange color that we're going for, or whatever color that your scene matches. And one more thing you can do is like add like a curves, so just to like push the shadows a little bit so it doesn't like look too like faded, if that makes sense. And you can go to optical glow and just like play with the values a little bit more, maybe in outer tint as well, something like this. And one more thing I want to do is, as you can see, my materials are too bright, and in the version that I did before, it looks so cool because the materials on the tops and like those max are all pretty dark, right? So I'm gonna fix that real quick by going to the scene setup. Actually remove the optical glow for now, disable all of these effects because it can crash. But go over to scene setup now, let it open, yeah, right here. And I guess I'm gonna like switch out the material a bit to get it a little darker, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna add a plastic in here as well. And in this right here, I'm gonna use a pro shader. So in metal, you can use any of these, but I'm gonna go with something darker because dark looks cool, you know what I'm saying? Maybe like this, but I want it like a little more darker. So for that I'll go into this diffuse color and play with it, and in reflectivity as well, so to create it a little darker like that. Yeah, I guess this looks pretty cool right here. Let's just back out and see how it looks. And now we can see it looks much more like dramatic and has that texture, you know, looks really hard. And you can always enable all of those like effects on it, and it looks perfect. And with that, I think our Glock animations and the materials and stuff is almost done. Yeah, we are done with the Glocks and stuff. Although one thing you can do is add like a fast box blur and put it before your optical glow maybe, and set it to 1 just to get it a little blurred. And you can copy that and put it on a background and just hit the stopwatch in it and lower it down at the first for obvious reason, you know. As the globs comes in, make it to 3. Nah, 2 would be good like that. So now you can see our Glock animation looks something like this. So now we're gonna add the shake that we want on those like 808 hits. So for that, I'm gonna create an adjustment layer right here, and can just add my shake right here, my shake preset. If you want to download all of these like shake preset that I have, they are absolutely dope. I'll link it in the description, you can check it out. So it starts with the middle keyframe like this, gives a little bit of impact I feel like, and you can just line it up with the cut right here, the 808 hit right here. And now we have playthrough, you can see we have then now if I play through, you can see we have this dope shake right here going on already. You can copy this and put this on the second 808 hit, which is right here for me. So I'm gonna put it right there, and you have playthrough. You can see we have those two shakes like that. You can even trim the beginning of our second clip, so it's a little not that too impacty, as you can see, like that. But do what you like the best. Let me just extend this. And after this, in the video, as you might already noticed, if I show you, you can see there's like a wheel also going on with like the distort chroma and the warp bubble. So we're gonna make that as well, you can see with the shake. So for that, I'll be using a preset as well. Let me go through this one. Yeah, I'll be using a preset as well. It would be from my unreleased pack actually, which is coming out pretty soon. I assume it is called Essential Effects, and in it you have this like wiggle shake type of preset that looks so cool. But if you want to make that effect yourself, I'll link a video in the iCard. I already made one and turned it into a preset to add it to my pack. So if you want to make it from scratch, I'll click the link in the iCard or in the description. But I think I'm gonna go to my element and make the color a little like warmer, because in the video I have it like pretty saturated, I feel like. So something like this looks cool to me. Then for the shake, as I told, I'm gonna copy this adjustment layer, and right below it I'm gonna delete all of these and add the preset right here. For you can make it from the start, or you can just use the shake preset, but I'm gonna use this one, and I'm gonna line it at the middle actually. And in here we're gonna play with some graph to get it to our liking. So firstly, I like to get my extension flow and mess with some graphs. So I'm gonna select my amplitude graph and make a graph like this. If you don't know flow, it is also a plugin. This is not necessary, but I'm gonna make it like this on the wiggle. And in distort chroma amount, I'm gonna set it to -1, and pretty much as the same graph in it, so something like this. So it's like pretty slow as well, and you can put it before your like second hit. And now if you play through, you can see we have this dope wiggle right here. So I'm gonna copy this and put this on the second hit as well, which is right here. And now it looks something like this with like those wiggles and stuff. Then finally now we're gonna start adding the text and stuff. Maybe before that I'm gonna like play with like the keyframe of the warp bubble, because I think it's too much for now. And you can even play with the distort chroma, and I guess that looks pretty hard right there now. So we're gonna make a text right here by right click on a blank space and text, and name it 30 sticks, right? 30 sticks. And we're gonna change the font to You Mother or something like that. I guess I had this like You Mother Baby. This is a really cool font, so I recommend downloading this one. And set it, I'm gonna name it 30 sticks, as he like saying on the lyrics. You can write whatever that you want, scale it up, and like position at the center. And you can even use like the align option in here. Where is it? Align, and just like center it up like that. Then just trim it till your second 808 hit and put it before both of your hits, like those shakes I mean. And if it's like lagging too much for you as well, you can turn off those shakes for now, because we can just enable it at the end. You can select your text, go over to properties and set it as a orange color, like in the video, kind of red, kind of orangeish or something like this. Maybe on the red, and we can make the CC light sweep. What I mean by that is add like CC light sweep right here, bring up the width a little bit, and just bring up the width a little bit and just lower down the edge intensity, and you can bring it up a little bit on the edge intensity actually. And in color, just set it as orange color, so something like that. And you can even bring up the sweep like intensity a little bit, and you can move around the anchor point kind of thing. Then now maybe a little lighter on the color and lower down the sweep intensity a little bit, so something like this. Then after that, we're gonna add a solid right here, solid, and put it before your text obviously, so around here, and just trim it to their length as well, and just lower down the opacity a little bit, so it kind of gives like the dark dark effect that we want. It looks so hard after this. Then you can add another adjustment layer right here, put it before your black solid and trim it as well, and just add like a fast box blur in here like this to blur out everything, you know, around like one, nothing too crazy in it as well. After that, we're gonna add the dope blur assets as I promised. So for that, I imported this footage right here, as you can see, and another one which is a hit as well. You can use this, and you can use another one. I'll quickly download it and show you real quick. It is all from SUBCRIBE, so you can visit their website and download a lot of things. They also have a lot of free stuff in there, but I recommend getting the pro one. We can just search up blurred asset. We can just search up like blurred assets in here, and it will pop up a lot of blurred assets. You can, so something like this, you can go through and see what works the best. But showing like these can age restrict the video, but I don't care. I think I also use this one. This one is free right here. It is called Blood Explosion. You can use this. And another one is the spray light. I'm gonna use this one actually. Let's just download it. This one is premium, so you have to buy it. Two are free, so I'll link it in the description if you want to download. Okay, it's downloaded. Let's just import it right here, and you can just drag it into your clip. Make sure it is before like your text and after your solid layer. And then now if I drag around, you can see the blood asset is right there. You can scale it up a little bit like this and put it at this corner. Then now we can toggle switches and modes and go to blending mode and set it to overlay like this. It will add a little bit of like those texture in it. Looks really cool like that. You can even scale it up a little bit more. Then after that, we're gonna use this blur hit 7 and just drag it around here. Then you can just line it up and just place it on this side and just make the blending mode to overlay as well. So that easily it adds the texture and the blurred overlay on it. You can even select your text and add a deep glow in it and just bring out the radius a little bit and lower down the exposure and just hit unmold to remove the blacks. As you can see, the deep glow looks really cool, and you can also go over to fill and make it like whole red. I'm actually not talking about Carti's album, if there's like any Carti fan like wondering. But anyways, you can see we also have the text and the blood going on. I would say we are pretty much done, but one more thing, last thing I like to do is add a little zoom. So I'm gonna create a new null object right here and select my background layer and my rotor layer, and you can see this like parent and link whip right here. Pick whip and just link it to the null object. Then you can take your anchor point tool, put the anchor point on your artist face and just scale it in a little bit, so something like that. Hit the stopwatch in it, go a bit further when an effect like comes in and reset it. And even you can link your like element layer to the null object, so it also moves like accordingly. And you can easily use those keyframes, go into graph and make a tight graph like this, so something like this. Maybe I'll zoom it more, so something like that. And then with it you can add another adjustment layer and top it off. You can add a flicker, bring up the flicker at the first, go a bit further and set it to 0, so 0. So like that, I think we are pretty much done. You can always like enable the motion blur of your clip, so it has like those motion blur as it comes in. Then always don't forget to turn on your shake and the warp layer to get like the shake that we want. But with the shake warp bubble, I noticed it is creating some like black in the edges, so I like to add like a motion tile and just put it before all of the effects, and it should remove it. You can copy that motion tile right there and put it at another shake, like your another shake. So I'm gonna enable both of these, and in one I'm gonna put the motion tile before all of the effects. So finally with that, I think we are done and our final result looks something like this. So that's it for today's video, guys. If you like this video, please consider hitting the like button, and you can also follow me on Instagram, join my Discord server, do all that good stuff, and I'ma see you on the next video. Peace.